ever been to New Orleans, it's the hottest city you ever seen. Gotta love them red beans, you gotta love them mustard green. In this city called New Orleans. If you're not from New Orleans, let me hear you scream. Hope you're feeling much better now. Like my home.
Being a Christian and following God's call doesn't necessarily mean that you know exactly where your destination is.
And coming here, it really opened up my eyes. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm doing something right.
God's kind of shown me like how useful, I guess, like I can be.
The community that God brought me to was just really phenomenal.
New Orleans is a blast. That's all I got.
I think I've learned a lot about how to struggle and how to go through difficult things and how to rely on God.
God has shown me that, with a little work and a little patience, we can get a lot of work done down here and have a good time doing it.
South Louisiana is the fastest disappearing landmass on the planet. We lose land at a rate of about 25 square miles a year.
I think that all of God's people are called to service in one way or another.
Even before they get to come and do the service work, they have to already begin and ask people to be a part of their support system back home.
Probably the most awesome thing about Gloria is that she sought out God's will in her life. And once she received that call, she went after it with a vengeance. She researched, she dug out the facts, she put it together, and she presented it, and she did it all for God's glory.
And keeping my views of my work in terms of the big picture, and that I'm not here to fix a problem, I'm just here to play my role in God's plan.
It's hard in a city like New Orleans to feel like you're really doing a lot of justice, but we're here, and I think that says a lot about God's presence.
I had no idea that somebody would even answer back 5 years later. I didn't even think agencies were still helping 5 years later.
When I think about Jesus and his ministry, and when I think about walking with God, I think about the people that were sick and the people that needed his healing that he was there for, and these people who are rejected by society, these people who just really needed someone to be there, and he was there for them.
And God has called them to do that, and they've accepted that call. And through that, they have learned so much, not just about the city and about other people, but about themselves.
That's pretty awesome that there's somebody from another part of the country that's really listening and understanding and wanting to learn about the issues here.
I could say unequivocally that the YAVs have been essential.
This was our first experience with a YAV, and I think it was a very positive experience. She just jumps in and helps whenever it's needed. Doesn't matter what it is, you can call Jenna and say, Jenna, can you help with this? And she's always eager.
Experience and patience. Could you run that by me one more time so I can...
Working construction is kind of humbling on a level I've never experienced before.
Well, the YAVs have made wonderful contributions to both congregations and to the work of disaster recovery.
It's just the working of the Spirit, seeing how God has called Jenna and this congregation and brought them together.
I felt stuck and didn't know where my calling was, and I feel like ever since I decided to come here for the YAV program, and things with faith just worked perfectly.
The youth that she brought just kind of revitalized the whole congregation.
He showed me to be patient. Showed me how to just go with the flow of things and just take one day at a time.
I've certainly learned to walk humbly.
Things are not always the way we expect them to be, and that they are not always need to be the way we expect them to be.
Sometimes we don't hear this audible voice, so he's been so good to give us his word. And looking at Micah 6:8, it's been clear that this has been a huge part of what the young adult volunteers have been doing.
To see them develop from when we first met them in last August to They're just completely running and taking charge of, of a complete rebuild on a house.
And she's grown and grown and grown.
I see Allie as a self-starter. She's done everything from learn how to visit patients to done the computer charting.
I see God work through Ellie's life by example.
Gloria is truly a gift from God. She is a blessing. She's a breath of fresh air. I've been honored to be her mentor.
One of my favorite experiences this year was getting to play with the powder actuated tool. It is a 22 essentially that shoots nails, and so you can drive nails into just about anything with it, and it's a lot of fun.
There were a lot of things that Gloria has taught us along the way that we didn't realize that are very, very important to our environment. Okay.
Well, Allie and I have a very special relationship. My husband died in July. What came my way was Allie's need for a mentor, where she's brought so much life into this congregation.
And so because of Allie, there are patients and families who've had that experience of God's loving presence in the room.
I think the most valuable was just for the congregation that she was here. She did so many things.
That is one of the most difficult years I've ever done, but that I wouldn't exchange it and I wouldn't trade it, and I've learned a lot, and God has just been there with me through the whole thing.
I think that everything that the YAVs have been involved with has been living out Micah 6:8.
It just seems to work out like that way, at least this year. Everything that I've done up to this point kind of came together around this year. So I'm interested to see what this year maybe is building on for later.
Well, we came through the storm, and I think we're gonna survive, the rest of the way. I really think so.
We will love you and miss you, especially I will. New Orleans has a place in your heart forever, and
Look was dry right in the eye, and it really left no doubt. You were giving someone that you loved time out, and the band played on. How that trombone moaned, wish you had seen it. Yes, the band played on, and I can almost hear you saying, love ya, mean it. Your son sat on the aisle, his heart broke like a levee. He stood and made